Welcome to the No Limits Leadership Podcast. We discuss ancient wisdom, real-world experiences, and the latest concepts on mastering leadership of self and others. If you're committed to maximizing your life and your impact on the world, you're home. Welcome back to the No Limits Leadership Podcast, where we explore the mindset, habits, and leadership principles that help us break through our limits and unlock our full potential. Today, I'm excited to be joined by Ryan Lavarnway, an accomplished professional athlete, Olympian, Major League Baseball veteran who has played for some of the most iconic teams in baseball. Ryan's career is a testament to resilience, adaptability, and high-performance leadership. Over his 15-year career, Ryan has faced intense competition, pressure, and career-defining challenges. Yet through it all, he consistently found ways to adapt, persevere, and lead both on and off the field. In the episode today, we're going to dive into the mindset that helped him reach the pinnacle of professional sports, leadership lessons learned from playing at the highest levels, and how he's translating those skills into life after baseball. So, Ryan, so glad to have you on, man. I'm excited to have this conversation with you.
Sean, what an intro. I need to borrow that for my speaking events. That's way better than what ChatGPT came up with to intro me for my speaking.
Well, I'm available for hire at a small fee. I'm happy to come with you. We were talking about, you got upgraded to an amazing presidential suite. I'm sure we could work something out. I could sleep on the couch. We could do this, man.
Yeah, for sure. You're the hype man extraordinaire.
I do my best over here. Oh man, I like to just hop right into it. So you talk a lot in your speaking and when you work with companies on mindset and resilience. And honestly, you've done this at such a high level. What do you think set you apart from a mindset perspective in your profession to help you translate those skills from like college and, high level amateur sports to the professional level?
Yeah. I mean, if you want to dive straight into the nitty gritty, I think there's a couple things. Number one, failure is a starting point, not an end point, right? Every one of my stories that I talk about, it starts with a failure. And then how do we rebuild from there? So how do you start from a failure, not let the story end there? Number two, I got really, really, really good at not quitting. And I think that's part of it's kind of tied into the failure is the beginning, not the end, is that when something hard happens, when you come up against something, that's the stepping stone. That's the starting line of how do you, use that to make the next story better. And again, when I'm speaking, I really, really believe mindset is everything because I am not a physically gifted human being. Like, yes, I am now tall. I'm, 6. My baseball card says I'm 6'4". I'm probably like 6'2 3/4.
You wear some lifts on the measurement day.
Baseball spikes help, right?
No, there you go.
So I'm large, but other than that, I'm not particularly strong. I'm certainly not particularly fast. I don't have a gifted throwing arm. The thing that I have is that I can figure it out, right? Your ability to figure it out. I can figure out how to hit. I can figure out how to get a home run. I'm not going to hit it 500 feet. I'm not going to hit it 110 miles per hour, but I can hit it 103 and get it into the first row. And I can do that 155 times as a pro. And that's pretty darn good, right? I can figure out what lifts are going to help with my body. I have hip limitations, range of motion, ankle limitations, range of motion. Every major league team I played for told me I should have surgery to saw off some bone so that my hips would work better. And I was like, no, I'm going to figure out how to make it work. And they're like, well, it's a miracle you're a professional athlete at all with your limitations. And I'm like, it is. And I'm going to show you what's possible. So it's all about believing in what's possible, refusing to give up, and believing in your ability to figure it out.
I agree with you 100%. And if someone's listening, they're like, I want to be that person. Like I want to approach failure in that way. Where do they start? Like, how do they get that mindset ball roll?
I mean, I feel like quoting Carol Dweck is like overdone at this point, but right. Everyone
Go ahead and do it.
Everyone's quoting her. You can't, the research is there. But like my dad, even in school, right? Because like not everyone's going to be a professional athlete. I understand that being an athlete, being a Marine, being a Green Beret, whatever, that's 0.00001% of the population. People can't do it. But people can achieve whatever their crazy big dreams are. They can become millionaires. They can become high-level leaders in their organization. They can start a business, right? That's where I'm trying to get with my speaking is like, I'm not trying to help you be a baseball player. It's not realistic. But whatever your dreams are, let's do that. And let's do that to the next level that you didn't even think about. So if that's what you're going after, Number one, I believe the most successful people identify with their success, and failure is just an event, but they don't identify with it, right? In my career, I hit 155 home runs. I was a power hitter. I struck out 955 times, but I wasn't a guy that struck out a lot, right? That's how I see it, at least, because I identify with the wins, not the losses, right? Like, I was a player that when I got drafted, they said that I was a catcher slash first baseman. I had never played first base in my life on that day. They were changing my position because they knew how bad my defense was. So that's where I started. But I knew I'm going to get better. I'm going to do everything it takes to get better. And there was 1 year I got ranked as the best defensive catcher in my minor league that I was playing in. So you want to know how I identify? I identify as a guy that developed into the best catcher in that league. I developed myself into a good defender. Now, maybe there's a little bit of thinking you're better than you are in there. There's a little bit of like you fake it till you make it in your own head. And I believe there's times to be realistic. There's times to like know where you are, know where you need to go because you know where you are. And then there's times where you need to believe it's possible. Because if you don't believe it's possible, if you don't believe in yourself and your own potential, you're not going to live up to anything. You have to live up to what you think you should be, what you think you can be, what you think you will be.
And how do you, and maybe this is going even deeper, like how do you balance the striving for excellence and the pushing and all that with also living in the present moment and being realistic with, where you are right now and being okay with that?
Yeah, I'm so glad you said that. I couldn't sleep last night. I was thinking about things I need to add to my speech. What can I improve? Where can we go? And this hits exactly on the topic that two things are true at the same time, right? There's a duality. And I think, I'm Jewish. I don't want to talk religion. I don't want to talk politics. I don't want to talk any of the stuff. But just as far as Judaism, I think that they do such a beautiful job of like, we believe in this God that is so much more powerful and wonderful and positive and beautiful than us. Like, we are so far below him, but he loves us anyway. Right. And I think, Christians probably believe in a similar, like, God is almighty, all powerful, all present, all whatever. And we are not that. And he loves us anyway. Two separate things at the same time. Right. And I think about it the same way. Like, you have to think of this big goal. Now, I relate it back to baseball because that's what I understand. And I think everyone can see themselves in this story. If I wanted to lead the league in homers, right, or my sophomore year of college, I led all of NCAA in batting average. I won the national batting title, right? That is a goal that takes 6 months. That's a goal that takes the entire season. It's 190 at bats, right? That's my goal. That's my focus. That's in the back of my mind. That's guiding me every day. That's my North Star. I wanted to be All-American. That's a goal that takes a year. With that, I needed to focus on every 0.4 seconds that the pitch was in flight. Because if I don't take care of all the 0.4 seconds when I'm trying to hit a 90-mile-per-hour fastball, the big goal doesn't happen. So you can believe in the potential. You can know where you're going and focus and have it be your North Star. You can have your company mission, vision, and values on the wall. You can have your vision board on the wall. That takes 8 months. And also understand that I need to do the daily habits. I need to do the little things on a micro scale to get to that macro goal.
I love that. And I think about it in terms of attachment. So it's interesting. I don't know if I don't really consider myself a full blown like Buddhist or anything, but I do study and like a lot of Buddhism. I like the philosophy, and one of the big principles on that is non-attachment. Yeah. And so it's kind of similar to how you mentioned, and so I love the way we're tying like this holistic approach to mindset and to life here. Is if you can set a desired outcome, or you said, like a North Star you're heading toward, but the reality is like, you could say, I want to be an All-American. Okay. And you could do everything right and still not become an All-American because somebody else, outside of your control, hit you had 150 home runs. I know we're conflating major leagues and, college now, but like, and somebody just happened to hit 200, right? Or whatever. Like, you could do everything right. So if you judge yourself on that, you're really setting yourself, you're setting yourself up for suffering. You're setting yourself up for failure, and really assessing, say, I still want to accomplish that. And then what I can attach myself to is the process, and it's funny you brought that up because I love that setup on my whiteboard over here, because I was running into this. This may have been on my whiteboard now for 2 years, because I was running into the disappointment, like you mentioned, the failure. And I was trying to work through those things as I was switching business models. And then I put down, stay in love with the process. Life is just the process, right? Like nobody wins at life. Like we're all playing a losing hand right now. Like, it's all going to end. But what matters is how we live and how we show up. And I love the example that you brought up there.
Well, I don't think I ever landed the plane or closed the loop on the Carol Dweck, like quoting her
Please.
comment, right? But like my dad growing up in school, it was, I don't care if you get straight A's as long as you do your best. So it's like, did you do your best regardless of the outcome? And then that transfers over to baseball. I don't care if you make the all-star team. I don't care if you're a starter or the bench player. Are you doing your best? So when I was raised, it was always the effort that was praised. And it's the same thing. I think you need to set that North Star, because I believe in my heart, and this is one of the things, the stories I tell in my keynote, is that my goal was to become all Ivy. I wanted to be the best in my league, which is admittedly a very small pond to be a big fish in. It's a very small pond. And I told my hitting coach I want to be all Ivy League. And he's the one that raised the bar for me. I had never considered being All-American. There hadn't been an All-American at Yale in 25 years, not for baseball. So when he set the bar for me, he set the new North Star, the higher, brighter, more powerful North Star. That was what I did. And I believe very, very strongly that if all Ivy League had been my goal, I would have won all Ivy League, but not All-American. So when you set that North Star, set it high, set it far, set it so that if you get there, you're proud. And also understand that you need to embody the person that accomplishes that, right? You're not going towards just the goal. It's the daily habits, right? It's that duality, the big North Star, the big goal, and then the daily habits to embody the person that deserves that thing. And then whether you get the end result or not, you've become the person that deserves it.
I love the way you did that, because to me, how I describe leadership, right, is becoming the person that other people want to follow. And so it's that same embodiment mindset, and of, like you mentioned, you're embodying and you're focusing on, how do I get better? How do I become the person that deserves that and embodies it? And we can apply that to accomplishing anything we set up in life. And as leaders, that's a critical aspect, because it really is about becoming a person, embodying the type of person that almost compels that other people decide to follow. And so I think for leaders, this is incredibly important. And you've had a lot of experiences in athletics, and you went to Yale, like all these high performing teams. So what are the top leadership lessons you took away from your time in these high level competitive environments?
Yeah, as a leader, people will live up or down to your expectations, and you need to take ownership of conversations and communication. So number one, favorite manager I ever played for in the big leagues, Terry Francona. I played for him in Boston. I also played for him in Cleveland. He sent me down to the minor leagues more than anyone else, right? He fired me from being a big leaguer, ripped my dream out from under me more than anyone. Favorite manager I ever played for. Because when he did it, he took ownership of the conversation. Ryan, we got to send you down. We got to make a move, right? We, the organization, we, the management team, I own it, right? But when he sent me down and I tried to make it easy for him, right? I'm a pro. I can handle it. I can go down to the minor leagues. I'll go down. I'll work my way back up. He goes, no. He's the first one that ever told me being a realistic evaluator doesn't always serve you. Because in the major leagues, there's 780 jobs, right? It's the best league in the world. At your position, there's 30 teams. So there's 30 of your job in the world. Who believes that they realistically are the best 30 in the world? Like, that's insane. So you have to be just dumb enough to think you're better than you are until you start proving it, right? And he's the one that said that as he's sending me down. He's telling me, today, you're not good enough. But tomorrow, you should believe you are. Think about that. There was another time late in my career, I say I got sent down from the major leagues. I got traded, released a total of 26 times. I got fired from my dream job 26 times. On the 25th call up, right? I know who I am. I know I'm the bubble guy. I'm just good enough or I'm just not good enough. On the 25th time, he was the one that called me up that last time. And when I got there, I had my tail between my legs a little bit. I'm very humble. I'm trying to just not make a splash. I know I'm there because someone else got hurt. I'm there for a 7-day concussion DL. I'm going to be here for 7 days and then I'm gone. I already know. I'm fired before I walk in the door. As I walk in the door, he goes and he tells me something that he did not objectively have to say. And I know this. He says, Ryan, we had the opportunity to trade for a Major League All-Star. And all of the coaching staff got together in a closed-door meeting. And we voted to call you up instead because we love the player you are. We love the person you are. We believe you will make an impact beyond your play on the field on this organization and on this team. Man, I felt like I could run through a wall for this man, right? I'm showing up unconfident, very humble. He just made me feel like I'm King Tut for a week. And I played great for him every time. I played great for him. He ended up sending me down a week later. Didn't matter. I was thrilled. The opposite of that is a leader that doesn't take ownership of their decisions. When I was with the Red Sox in 2012, Bobby Valentine was the manager. And he pulls me aside. He says, "Hey, I think you're our best catcher, but I don't get a vote. I think you're the best option. If it was up to me, you'd be our guy, but I got to send you down to AAA." From the human side, I can see why he would want to not take responsibility for that decision, right? He's trying to make me feel some type of way. He's trying to not take ownership of the negativity, but in that, he left room for questions. He left lack of ownership. And in that regard, to me, he's my least favorite manager that I ever played for. Because what player wants to hear, like, I'm the best one, but get out of here? What player wants to hear, you're the tip of the spear, but you're not taking ownership for this decision? So as a leader, you can have the hard conversation in a positive way, as long as you own it and as long as you understand the human that you're having the conversation with.
Those are fantastic, such good leadership examples. And I love how, to your point, that last one, it seems counterintuitive, right? It's like if you're, and I think it's so important, man, I want to highlight this because if you're a new leader, right? If you're new in a position, it might seem to you because you got to your position a lot of times, right? And first line manager, second line, because people liked you. Like you were competent and people liked you. Ryan's a good guy. Yeah, I think you give him a shot at director or whatever, right? And you get there but then you get to a certain point where you rely on that. So I'm sure in their minds, like, well, that way they still like me. Like he likes me because he thinks I like him, but that made you, respect him less. It made him less of a leader in your eyes than the person who owned it and said, hey, you're not one of the top 30 best guys in the world right now, but doesn't mean you can't be tomorrow.
Yeah.
And they were just straight up with you. And I see this, I'm interested in your perspective of some of the clients you've worked with, or with some of the teams, because I know you're currently a coach, scout, batting, all that stuff, right? You still work in the majors. But I see this happen with a lot of the clients I work with, where they've set a culture, or they think, because it's Gen Z or whatever other excuse they get, that like they can't be direct, or they don't want to hurt anyone's feelings or whatever. It's like, it just 9 times out of 10, if not 10 out of 10. It does more damage than just setting the culture on this team. We're direct with you. It's not personal. We're trying to solve a problem. We're trying to solve this greater mission, right? It's not about you or me. It's about this greater mission. And the best way to do that is for me to speak, not be cruel, but be direct. And so many people are scared of that confrontation, and it limits their ability to lead a culture and organization.
2 things at once, right? Same time again. You can be kind and firm. You can be honest without being cruel. You can be transparent without telling them something they don't need to know.
Can you expand on transparent without telling them something they don't need to know?
Yeah, again, I'll tell you the baseball example, right? Like, as a player, I was minor league hitter of the year 3 years in a row for the Red Sox. In my mind, I was like, I am literally doing everything I can control. I am the best hitter here. And I also know David Ortiz, Hall of Famer, and Jason Varitek, Red Sox Hall of Famer, are blocking my path. So in my mind, I'm like, I'm doing everything I can control. What else do I have to do? And at 23 years old, the worst thing someone told me was, keep doing what you're doing. Because I couldn't take yes for an answer. I wanted you to give me something to work on. I'm the guy that's going to go figure it out. If I need to do more, tell me to do more. If I need to work on leadership, if I need to work on my receiving, tell me to do more. Because that's who I was, right? And people are different. Some people might love, keep doing what you're doing. You're doing a great job. But I didn't have the relationship or the maturity to communicate what I needed yet, because I was 23, 24. So as a coach, I try to understand, what is it that you need? Because to land this plane and circle back to your question of like, how can you be transparent without telling them all the things? We had organizational meetings this week with the Chicago Cubs. We were talking about one of our right-handed pitchers. He can throw 100 miles per hour for 90 pitches in a row. He doesn't tire out like a normal human being you think would, right? And he has more value to the organization as a starter, right? Starters are hard to come by, especially starters that throw 100 for that long. But he sees I could pitch in the big leagues tomorrow if I can throw 103 for 20 pitches as a reliever. So he sees the quick path to some success, whereas the organization wants him to take a slightly longer path to a way bigger success. That being said, we have 5 starters. So there's someone blocking that route that makes him more valuable. So it's maybe a year out versus tomorrow he could replace a reliever. So it's all about like, how do we show him there's more success over here? It might take a while. We can't make any promises because you don't know what's going to happen in the next year. He might tear his elbow. We might trade for, one of these guys that just signed for $700 million. We don't know the future, but we can show him the potential and the value and make it transparent without making promises or without saying like, oh, we're planning to trade so-and-so in 2 weeks, because he can't know that yet.
Yeah. And that is, it's funny because that's obviously an athletics, professional sports example, but there's so many aspects of business, and I see leaders struggle with where, we're looking at acquiring this company, so there's going to be these other opportunities, or we're getting ready to litigation on this thing or whatever else, right? There's like all these competitive, we're getting ready to launch this product line we can't talk about, there's all these other things going on, but still having that leadership wherewithal of like, how do we frame things in a way that we're looking out best for the individual and the organization. And that was a really cool example. And I think it's also important that, you brought up, you needed what I would describe as like, you needed a mission, like a highly competitive person, like you needed something to work on. Don't be, instead of saying, yeah, you're doing great, just stay there. And again, I think it goes back to like, a lot of leaders would see that as like, well, I'm being nice. Oh, how many performance reviews or wherever else somebody gets are like, doing great, awesome. And like, you just told that to, 19 of 20 people. And it's one, the people who are okay with that are not the people you want on your team. Those aren't high performers. Those aren't A players. Like A players, like I want something to work on. Like I need a mission to strive for. And if I had to pull this out to a big like meta human example, my book's called The Warrior's Mindset. And I say that because I have this belief that, I define a warrior as someone who fights for a noble cause greater than themselves. And I believe we're all the descendants of warriors and conquerors and hunters and successful civilizations. Like if you were too scared, if you were just like, it's good enough, I'm going to stay here in my cave. Like you didn't procreate, like you didn't make more humans, right? Because you got conquered by someone who like wanted to push, who wanted to explore. And I just think there's like a natural human element to that. And especially in this country, like our quality of life has made it very easy and very comfortable to not have a mission, to just go through the motions. And to pull it back to your point, that may be what feels good in the moment, but that's not going to lead to long-term success or even long-term fulfillment as a human being. So how do we make a mission for ourselves, and how do we give that to other people so they can be inspired to keep pushing, no matter if they are, the batting leader, the hit champion, whatever, the batting leader for the whole league, like there's still something to work on. Like people need a mission.
Yeah, I think we got to be careful about saying that everybody's the same, right? Some people love status quo, and that's okay for them, right? Some people need, you're doing great. Some people need the pat on the back. That wasn't me. Some people will take yes for an answer. And the counter argument is that, I'm always tinkering. I'm always changing. And maybe at a certain point it's good enough, right? Perfect is the enemy of good. Okay. So I think it's important as a leader to build that relationship with people, to know like Sean and Ryan need a mission. Like I can keep them going, but these two over here, they need the, like, it's going good. Don't change. So I think it's important to build a relationship when you can. And I think the professional sports world is so cutthroat that you're here today, gone tomorrow. But most companies, you're not going to trade out your people for the next best thing every year. Most companies, people are there for 2, 3, 4, 5, 20 years. So how are you building those people to be the best for them? Because you want them to be their best so that the company can be the best.
That's a very good counterpoint, because I was actually just at a dinner. I have a small group of entrepreneurs. One of them is a high level executive, and a friend of mine put it together. We have dinner and we call it like challenge and connect dinners. We challenge each other and connect once a month. It's awesome. And one of the guys has a tech startup, a healthcare tech startup, and it's doing really well. It's in early stages, but it's doing very well. And he brought up a point where he's like, I'm hiring all these, young, hungry A players, right? And he's like, but one of my original like 3 hires is this guy who has this very specific skill, and he's older, but he's been loyal. He's a B player. Like, but what he does is like very specific. He's got great relationships. It's a value to the company, but the rest of the company is these like, MIT grad, like Harvard, like go like get shit done, in this like cutthroat IT world. And he's like, I'm worried that it's going to like bring this up. And it's funny. We had a whole discussion and around it. And to your point, which I think is really valid, there are the people in the company where it's just like, this one person does this thing and like, they're not looking to be the next COO. They're just looking to be really good at this one thing, and they want to go home and they want to make sure they're home at 4:30 so they can make the kids ball game at 5, and like that's all that matters. And like and kind of like leave them alone and support them, and as long as they're performing their role, that's fine. Not everyone, you're right, is like driving and striving and wants to have that in their life, or maybe they do, but it's not in the work environment.
And you know what? Not only is that okay, you actually need those players. You need, and I think even calling them B and C players is insulting in a way, right? Like, you need the people that are not climbers, because if everyone's trying to climb, they're going to leave to climb somewhere else, because not everybody can be in the C-suite. You need your second baseman to play his role. You need the guy that's going to steal bases and hit behind the runner. If all you have is home run hitters, you're going to strike out too much, right? Like, the sports analogy is so perfect because you need people to play their role, play your position. You can't have 9 all-stars on the field at all time. And again, I don't want to call them B players. You need people to play their role.
The perfect example of that in the sports world that I see, and maybe, of course, you see it through the baseball lens. I mean, more than anything, I'm assuming, but I think you see that a lot with like basketball teams, right? Like in the NBA, it's like, because there's only 5 of them, and so it's like they'll put together the dream team, and it's like these 3 superstars, and their performance actually goes down because they're all trying to be the guy, right? They're all trying to be the person, as opposed to like finding the puzzle pieces that fit best for the whole team to function and have its greatest success.
And you need people that see the world differently, right? If we're always trying to strive and climb, you're not covering the safe and secure side. You're not covering the like meaning in life side. You're not covering the like, are we correct and accurate side. So you need people that see the world differently.
So powerful. When you were on these different these different teams, and now as you coach others, what are your thoughts on how to be a quality peer leader? Not just, when you have a formal authority, or you're the team captain, or you're the gym manager, or whatever, but like you're a teammate, but how do you lead, still be a leader and a positive influence among your peers?
Yeah, I think what you said right at the end of that question is a positive influence. And the other side of that is being authentic to yourself. Early in my career, I wanted to be Jason Varitek so bad. And Jason Varitek is the kind of guy where I was warned before the first time I met him that I was going to think he wanted to eat my face off. Okay. This man was like straight to the point, serious. How can you help? Yada, yada, yada. Like straight edge, very professional, clean cut, right? That's not me. You know me a little bit. Like I'm a jokester. I like to have fun. I'm very jovial. I like dad jokes, right? So when I tried to be Jason, it came off as fake. Even though like I was really leaning into it, I meant it, but it wasn't me. So you need somebody that can keep it light. You also need someone that's going to keep it serious. You need someone that's straight to the point, and you need someone that's worried about what's happening on the weekend, but still does their job, so that you remember, like, I got a family at home. That's important too, right? So I think it's important to understand your unique leadership style. Who are you? Let's bring this to the professional world, right? Are you a person that knows the numbers? You know the numbers, and you can talk about the numbers, but you're not so good at relationships. Well, then the best way to build that team, the way to build leadership, is to understand, like, this person's better at the relationships. Let's work together. Let's work towards the common goal, because if we all win, I win. It doesn't matter who gets the credit a lot of times. We're rising, we're sinking, or we're floating, we're succeeding together. Most companies don't work on an individualized basis. I know some sales teams do, but even the sales teams, they got the tip of the spear that's making the sale, and they have the guy that they're bringing in that knows the product better than them, that knows the underlying numbers better than them. And if that salesperson doesn't value the people that are on their team that are really helping, you need to value those people, and you need to be honest about who you are with them with positive influence.
I love that. I'm going to take us on a bit of a side question because I'm more just interested in anything. But tell me about your experience playing in the Olympics.
What about it?
I guess we'll start off with, why'd you want to do it?
Why did I want to do it? It's the Olympics, bro. Why would you not want
have you seen the parade? It looks sweet, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what was the process like to, because you played for Team Israel. So, I mean, that's also unique in the sense that, you weren't like, oh, I'm going to the Team USA practice down in Florida and we're getting all the, it was like, what was it like to play? Were the other members of that team, it sounds like it's probably an international feel, right? Like the people on the team probably lived or, played in all over the globe, but they had to come together to play for the Olympics. I mean, like that was a unique experience as a team.
Yeah, well, I mean, think about the modern world we live in. You and I have never met in person, but we're friends, right? We talk all the time. That's kind of how Team Israel is. We have this group WhatsApp text chat chain. A lot of us don't see each other for years on end, and then we get together and we play baseball and we kick some butt, right? So the crazy thing about the Olympics is that I actually was recruited to play for Team USA. And I chose to play for Israel instead because playing for Israel has been a meaningful and life-changing experience for me as far as how I see myself in the world, how I see myself as a Jewish man. That's a separate story. But nobody expected Israel to win. The odds were, Japan's supposed to win. They're at, plus 150. USA is supposed to come in second. They're at plus 330. Israel was plus 3,000. I've never bet on sports, but just looking at those numbers, it's 10 times worse. Okay.
Yeah.
So we went and we had this collective group mindset of like, we'll show you. You're going to doubt us, but we're going to prove something. Right. So we're climbing the hill. It goes into my whole mindset of everything else of, we have something to prove. You don't believe in us, but we believe in us. And you know what? We were this close from winning a medal, right? One of our best pitchers tore his elbow in the first inning of the first game, or else I firmly believe we come home with the bronze medal because we were still that close without him. We took Korea into extra innings. We had a lead on the Dominican in the bottom of the ninth. We win either one of those games, we're in a medal game, just like that. So we had something to prove. We went there. For me, the best part of Olympic Village was the gym. So
really?
when you're in Olympic Village, you have to wear your team issued gear anytime you're outside of your dorm room, right? So you're wearing your team issued colors. There's the flag. There's the name of the country, so you can tell where everyone's from. There's Mexico's green and blue, USA's blue, white, red, white, and blue. Israel was blue and white. The team from Venezuela was wearing yellow. But it was awesome. So everyone's wearing this cool gear. You can tell where everyone's from. It's all different. The New Zealand team had their black and white. Their uniforms were sick. But you're in the gym and you're watching these people that are the best in the world at what they do the thing that makes them the best at what they do. So like in my field of vision, right? Baseball players are a different breed. I got the 8-pound shoulder weight. I'm doing these rotator cuff exercises, right? I feel like a complete non-athlete amongst the best in the world. Baseball players, we got our little purple band. We're working on our shoulders, right? But in my field of vision, I see the New Zealand power lifters warming up with 7,000 pounds right over there. And then I got the France basketball team warming up on the rowing machine. And the Venezuelan gymnastics team doing handstands over here and working on their balance. And the soccer team from Mexico over there warming up with medicine balls. And just all the different athletes from different sports that I know very little about doing the thing that makes them the best in the world. To me, that was the coolest part.
That sounds amazing. And that's something that I think like you from an outsider looking in would never think that was the thing, well, and I'm gonna continue, I guess, on maybe it's our main quest now of sort of touching on different aspects of your life and pulling out lessons. I'm about to be a first-time father here in two months. What are leadership lessons the main leadership lessons you've pulled from being a father?
Patience,
Mm.
unconditional love. I'm starting to get to a point now, and you won't get here for a couple of years now, but my daughter's 2.5 now. And now it's been to a point so far where I got to do everything for her, right? Like she can't do anything. And now at 2.5, I'm starting to get to the point where I got to let her do stuff on her own. And it's going to be better for her. Even if it takes 10 times longer, it's messier, it's not done as well, it's going to be better for her. So I think for you at different points, number one, dude, enjoy it. Being a dad is the best thing that's ever happened to me. I've wanted to be a dad since I was a kid. I love kids. Every kid I've ever met loves me back. We just have a connection. I love kids. So that's probably why I wrote my kids book. But there's different phases, and every phase has been my favorite when it comes, right? Because when they're first born, they don't know you exist, right? They're a blob. You don't know what to do with them. They can't see you. They don't react to you. They just fulfill their needs. But at the time, that's all you know, and it's great. And then they start to notice that you're there. And they react, and they smile. And then they start to crawl. And then they start to walk. And then they start to talk, and just enjoy it. Enjoy every phase, because it's the best. It's the best thing that I've ever done.
Tell me about your kids book you wrote.
Baseball and Belonging. I have one right here. I always have one on my desk. It's kind of my story going through baseball and finding my Judaism through playing for Team Israel. It's been great. It's got a great response from people that have read it. I've got really beautiful letters in the mail of people, especially people from that feel like they're half and half of something. Like I was half Christian or half Catholic and half Jewish. But people are, they're like, I'm half Mexican, I'm half whatever. It's about like choosing and that you get to decide. So for me, like I've chosen Judaism, even though I was half. And when I finally dove in, I got the benefits. But when I tried to play both fields, when I tried to keep a toe in each pool, you're not really a part of anything. And I feel like if you want to be a part of something, you got to make the choice to be a part of something.
That makes sense, right? Because we're naturally, designed, evolutionary, whatever, historically tribal creatures, right? So we need, I think that is a human need to feel a part of a tribe and I think it's so important to be intentional with choosing, to your point, you mentioned choosing a tribe and choosing the right people to be a part of your team and who you surround yourself with, because that is, it was the Harvard happiness study, right? 80 years later, and like what makes people happy or fulfilled in life, and the only sort of one constant among every socioeconomic class, gender, whatever, was the quality of your close relationships. Mm. And so I think that interconnectedness and choosing the tribe that's a really powerful lesson for us. And I think that's also why one reason I'm so passionate, and I know you are too, about leadership, about culture, because we can create such a positive tribe that changes and enhances people's life through doing meaningful work. And I think that, that's what one of the drivers, for me as we move forward. And, you've gone through a lot of obviously transitions, throughout your life. You talk about, the majors and minors, but then especially in the last few years, transitioning from being a professional athlete, now speaking and coaching in the major still, and working with business clients. And so what has changed for you, and how you define success for yourself, and how do you align your actions to that vision?
It's been one of my, people say, what do you miss most about baseball? That's the number one thing. And it's hard, because when you're playing sports, especially, again, I keep going back to sports because that was 30 years of my life. It's been more than 75% of my life I played baseball. When you wake up in the morning, you win or you lose. The goal is to win the game, right? And sub goals of that, personal performance, secondarily, like, did I get hits? Did I play good defense? It's defined, right? I either made the plays, I threw the runner out, or I didn't. I made an error. I got hits, I hit a homer, or I struck out, right? I got out. Life isn't like that, right? Life is not as cut and dry and defined, and you get to choose. And that's, again, part of why I think it's so important to set that big picture North Star vision, that goal. Are you working towards your goal? Did you get closer towards your goal? Is your goal quality time with family? Is your goal setting yourself up financially so that you can do the things you want to do the things you need to do, keep food on the table, keep a roof over your head. There are 8 different forms of well-being. You have the financial, the career, the social, mental, emotional, physical health, right? There's 8 different areas that need to be considered to be a completely healthy person. How many of those goals are you moving towards in a given day? And what are you doing about them, right? Like, did you do your 5 minutes of meditation in the morning? Did you take a cold tub? Not everyone's going to cold tub, right? Did you shower today? That could be a win for some people, right? But the fact is that in life, I feel like I've learned this in my late 30s, is that you get to decide.
I love that, because I think it resonates in my community as well. On the veteran side, I think that's one of the hardest things about transition. And maybe it's just the hardest about, it's funny, in my world, we talk about transition, and at least around the veterans, like, everyone knows what that means. Transitioning as a veteran. But for you, transitioning professional athlete to, civilian life or regular life, right? Like, same thing. And it goes, and I think that's one of the things that people miss or struggle with, is that same thing of, like, your mission is very clear, your role is very clear. And, and in some ways, if we took it to a very extreme point, I've seen people, when I was in the military, it was the time of two full-blown wars going on, and people were spending so much time in combat. And I saw people struggle not being at war, because there's good guys, there's bad guys, there's missions, there's success. Like, it's just like so defined, and then they come back and that's a little less fuzzy. And then they get out of the military, and now it's like the entire world is gray and you can do anything. And if you haven't spent time kind of defining who you are, what you're trying to do outside of this role you play, you can get really lost. I saw this happen with my mom. She was a school psychologist and then a special education administrator in schools for years. So, her life for, decades, right, is defined as, I'm an educator working with kids. That's and then when she retire, she hadn't done the work, like, this whole, like, who am I? Because I'm not this person, and this is a part of me. It just identified with, like, that mission so much that you start to lose yourself. And so I think the skill of being able to define your own identity, who are your values, what are you trying to, and do that through each phase of life, and re-emerge as a new person is such a life skill and powerful. And the reason that, people need to bring in coaches and speakers and thought leaders like yourself to continue to help them develop new ideas and grow and help them define them, define who are you, and what are you trying to do with your life, because you only get to go, as far as we know, through this thing once. Well, awesome. Ryan, this is fantastic, man. It's always great to chat with you, my friend. Thank you so much for being on the podcast today. If people are trying to, we'll put your links and stuff in the show notes, but if people are trying to find more about, you and your work, what's the best place for them to go?
Best place is either my website, ryanlavarnway.com, or check out my LinkedIn to stay updated on everything I'm up to. LinkedIn, I'm easy to find, Ryan Lavarnway. There's not too many of us with this name. Got a link to my speaking sizzle reel on my LinkedIn and on my website, and I answer all my own messages. So feel free to reach out. I'm a real person. People are sometimes surprised by that, but yeah, just happy to make a positive impact.
That's awesome, Ryan. Thanks so much, brother.
Appreciate you.